All right. All right, Chris Chavez here, live in Tokyo, and I'm joined now by two of Brooks' star marathoners and Team USA studs after an epic performance in the World Championship Marathon. Susanna Sullivan, 4th place. Jess McClain, 8th place. 2 in the top 10. Awesome day, thrilling race to watch. But I guess like now that it's been 2 days, how's the body feeling after such a grueling effort?
Yesterday I think about as good as I've ever felt it the day after a marathon, but today I don't feel any better. So, I feel okay. So,
Jess, how about you?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I lost my voice at the track cheering for some 1,500 men and pole vaulters, but no, I'm feeling good. I think honestly, Tokyo's the perfect city to be in post race because there's so much to do and see. So like staying on your feet, keeping moving. Anytime I'm sitting down for extended periods of time, getting back up is kind of comical. But other than that, like feels good as we can for the conditions and what we did out there a few days ago.
Yeah, so I want to touch on just sort of like deciding to do this in the first place. Before we even started recording, like we kind of chatted about just like Mac and I were just amplifying this rumor that the race might get canceled and that there was this talk about just like the heat and all that stuff. But Susanna, like this is your second World Championship marathon, and Budapest was so hot. Like I remember just being out there and how terrible it felt as a spectator. I'm sure it was just as, challenging for you. You experienced that and then you said, all right, I want to do that again. Why did you choose to do this?
well, when I ran in Budapest, I can honestly say like I didn't notice the heat so much because my kneecap was in pretty much 2 pieces.
Preach.
Yeah, you know how it goes. Yeah. So, I generally handle heat pretty well. My second marathon was the 2016 trials in LA, and that was a super hot one. And I felt like that was kind of a cool race because for me, it was my second marathon, but I was moving up in the placings and I wasn't passing anybody. And I was just like managing the heat pretty well. And so I feel like in the build for Budapest, I live in the DC area, so it's always super humid. And I don't feel like we put as much of an emphasis on heat training for that one. And really the knee was the limiting factor in Budapest. Like, and then for this one, Brooks just did an awesome job of like, because they had all 3 women on the marathon team and CJ on the men's side, they did an awesome job of just making sure we were prepared for the heat and giving us the information that we needed. We worked with Bridget at Brooks, who did some sweat testing with us. I learned that I'm a really salty sweater. And so we just kind of worked on managing that over the summer and getting up my salt intake on long runs and things like that. So I think that helped a lot.
Yeah. Jess, for you, was it the decision just as, Brooks' support, and then on top of that, coming so close to making the teams that like, all right, this is an opportunity I got to take?
Yeah, I mean, the last year has been nuts, and I feel like Paris was crazy, and then I got a call. It was like deja vu. I got a call about Tokyo, and I'm like, this is not going to keep happening. Like, I have to say yes. And I didn't say yes just because of that. Like, obviously, Erica and Susanna already having been on the team, and it being a full Brooks squad in Tokyo was like a no-brainer for me. I was still kind of in the middle of trying to figure out fall marathon plans. So like, honestly, it was a really good time to get that call. Had I gotten a call like a month later, like 5 weeks later, I don't know if I would have said yes. Maybe like obviously wearing the Team USA kit's amazing. And representing, Brooks on the global stage is amazing. So who knows? But yeah, it was pretty much a no-brainer, especially with Erica and Susanna on the team too.
So the 3 of you obviously train in different parts of the country, sponsored by the same brand. There's been events, media summits and all that kind of stuff that you guys have done together. But behind the scenes, like in the months leading up to it, was there like a group chat or anything just sort of established for like the 3 of you to kind of connect? And, once you got here, it felt like there was just so many videos and photos of the 3 of you together.
Yeah, for sure. So Brooks had us out all, we were all together in San Diego in January. We did some sweat testing out there, which was a joke because like we weren't like we weren't acclimated enough to sweat, and so like I actually gained weight on the run. So like
I think I was
completely
freezing,
matched
so I didn't sweat.
but like that opportunity just to kind of bond. Emily and Alafine had just joined the team, so it was just like they were just like really positive vibes. And then we kind of reunited in Seattle in June. And so they've given us so many opportunities to really feel like a team within a team. And yeah, it was a group chat. It kind of, swayed from like sometimes being like encouraging and sometimes just being like,
this sucks.
yeah, like,
training's hard.
Yeah, what is going on? DC was having like an unseasonably cool August, and Erica's also on the East Coast, and we were like, come on, like why this year? But yeah, sometimes it was just like, hey, that document's supposed to be in Teamworks, like where in Teamworks? So a lot of it just like the logistics of traveling to across the globe, and trying to put together our best performance. Like there was just like a lot of like, hey, what are you packing? What are you,
Yeah.
So
I felt like it was a really unique experience too, because obviously we're here with USATF, Team USA. We've got the infrastructure and support on that front, but it literally felt like a Brooks like trip because we had a full team. We had CJ, like the entire what seems to be like Brooks company is here in full force. Like more people are like piling out of the Hyperion house than I even knew were here. And then on the course, it was like there were a few photos that emerged, and I'm like, when was I smiling on this course? Like it was so hard, and it was the Brooks section. Like there were so many of our supporters there in our shirts that Brooks made for us, and that was like a really special thing because I don't feel like that comes around very often for athletes. Like being on a full team with their, respective teammates of their sponsor, and then every sponsor shows up in big ways for these things, but it just feels like Brooks really showed up and showed out for us. So it's super cool.
Before we get into the race and some of those moments where, you were smiling, you guys were all together, during the race, just reflecting on the training block in general, like how did you guys feel like this one compared and stacked up versus previous marathon training blocks?
I think I was really fortunate in that it went really smoothly. I think especially coming off of the build into London, it was a lot better than the build into London. London, I was healthy, like bones and tendons and ligaments, but I got like a sinus infection right before I ran some indoor races in Boston, which sounded like a fun idea at the time. It was not as fun. Especially with a sinus infection. But my coaches at George Mason University, and the team was going up there for an indoor meet at BU. And so I was like, I'll jump in the 3K and the mile. And it was rough. Anyway, so after not being able to shake that sinus infection, took a round of penicillin. I think that just kind of like wiped out my gut, and then had some stomach stuff leading into it. So it was just like one thing after another where like all the training felt forced this spring. I was hitting the splits, but it just like it had felt so much easier leading into Chicago. And I had a little bit of FOMO for Boston. I like saw that field that was assembled, and Jess crushed in Boston, but and then heading to London, having a fever on the day. It was already a warm day. Like it was just I feel like every week that passed in the build for this race was just like, thank God we made it another week. Okay, everything is still fine. Okay, like it's gonna be better than London. So yeah, no, I was relieved to put it all together.
Jess, what about you?
Yeah, I think the block went super well. I did New York last year, stayed home in Phoenix for the most part, and trained through the summer, and just fried myself, like getting up early, running in the heat. I didn't quite understand like, hey, we don't have to hit goal pace. Like it should be all marathon or just like effort based, especially in the heat. So I was a lot smarter. I also have a coach now, so I'm not just being an idiot on my own. But yeah, so David has been awesome. He's well versed in heat training. He just has an interesting approach to marathoning and everything. So he's been really fun to team up with in addition to Brooks. We actually, the first time I met David face-to-face on Zoom was on a Brooks call with our physiologist and figuring out heat adaptations and strategies and whatnot. But I actually went up to flag because I was like, I need to sleep. I still work. So I was like, work is awesome right now. They, kind of let me do my thing and work remotely, and went up to Flag mostly just for recovery, which sounds a little wonky, but needed to sleep and run in cooler weather, get some really good training. I was really scared to go to altitude. I had not so great experiences. My first stint as a pro, kind of like rode that line a little too much, got hurt, never really made it to the line for things that mattered, which is not what you want to do. Pro tip. So Flag was great, synced up with a lot of athletes up there. Just felt like I belonged kind of in that scene, which I always felt like an outsider. Like, oh, I've never like made a team. I like was barely all American,
Yeah.
like not imposter syndrome, but like it just felt cool to be in Flag and like in the mix and run with a lot of amazing women and men up there. And then came back down 2 weeks before Tokyo, did about 4 humidity chamber sessions with ASU that Brooks helped me,
Wow.
kind of pin down, which was awesome because I think it was more just like embracing the discomfort of humidity. I don't run in the humidity. I'll take like 90 degrees and dry any day, but that was a huge help. Just like getting the gut used to taking in fuel and liquids when it didn't want to, and those conditions, and sweating a ton. Like I sweat so much on the treadmill, I almost like ate shit 3 times because I had so much sweat on the belt that like I was slipping. So I'm not used to sweating that much. So I think it helped with just like embracing what this was going to be. And obviously our group chats, we were we were texting the whole time, all going through it. But yeah, it was a pretty smooth build. Like I've been, knock on wood, healthy for like almost 3 years. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're just gonna keep it healthy.
Yeah. God bless the person who had to clean up after that treadmill.
Oh yeah, I
Right.
know. I guess they're like really used to it. They're like, we love sweat. I'm like, wow, okay. This is cool.
So, I mean, there was definitely like dialing in on much more of the science and the humidity training. Like you open up Strava and you see, all of the BYU
Mhm.
guys and those marathoners, like they're jumping
Yeah.
into the sauna for 25, 30 minutes after every run. Like, is it just as basic stuff that you guys were also kind of implementing like throughout the build like that, or anything else like in your training block?
Yeah, I think on some days I didn't do a ton of like passive heat training,
Okay.
honestly. I think in Flag I did a few sauna sessions just so up there I just kind of maintained. But then when I got to Phoenix, I didn't want to like cook myself, especially in the last few workouts and then taper time. And I do want to say I'm like the biggest BYU like Clayton group. Like I love that group so much. Clayton is like one of my favorite people to follow. And I admire their dedication to like every little thing.
Yeah.
Like I will watch the minute his YouTubes drop, I'm watching it. So there's definitely things that I have paid attention because there's so much more information out there now. And that group is definitely a leader in all of the little things you can do. I implemented some of that, but not as much as I did before New York last year, in an effort to just like keep it as fun as I can the last few weeks, not like
Mhm.
mentally cook myself.
Right.
But yeah, I think you definitely did.
Yeah, no, I think that's really smart. And we had a call pretty early in the summer with USA Track and Field, and they connected us with Robert Chapman.
Yeah.
And he had just shown us a lot of studies and a lot of science and data that indicated that a lot of that acclimatization happens over the course of like 10 days. So it was like
Oh, wow.
there
Get to
wasn't a
Tokyo.
need. Yeah. So my coach and I had a conversation about it, and it was like, you don't need to be doing like hot tub and sauna stuff, way far out in advance. I mean, can, but you don't need to. So I wasn't doing that. Until I got here, because we were just kind of relying on DC to be soupy. And even in the last couple of weeks, like I started to feel great in workouts in mid-August, like times were dropping. All of a sudden I was like, okay, this could be really good. But the temperature was also like 20 degrees cooler than what it typically is in August, but the humidity was still high. So we were, it's like you had all these data points, and it was like, how do you make sense of this? And then when I got off the plane on Monday here, I was like,
Woof.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like I don't know that I'm ready. So there were a couple of panic texts to my husband, and I think he was communicating that to my coach a bit, like she's freaking out. So we agreed that
You didn't seem like it. Seemed pretty cool, calm and collected.
I went out to Camp Sama. It's a U.S. Army base, like an hour and 45 minutes from here. And my husband's a Marine, so I have a military ID, so I think they had it in the team hotel too, but the team hotel was an adventure. So I just got out of town. And so I would just go, I'd do my runs around the perimeter of the base there. And then, and not all of them, we did some runs at, Akora, which is like the USATF training, center. But then I would hop in the hot tub, and I have such little tolerance for hot tubs. I'd be in for like 7 minutes and be like, I'm gonna be sick. So I was a little panicked about, like best of intentions, but it really, like, I wasn't gonna be able to sit in there for 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But I do think that mentally that helped on Saturday, because there were a couple moments where I felt like I was starting to kind of heat up, and then would remind myself, like, this is not as bad as the hot tub was 4 days ago. But to Jess's point about like not cooking yourself, when I shared with my coach that like the hot tubs were making me feel nauseous for hours after,
God.
he was like, maybe don't do that Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So the 2 days before, I was just like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But I feel like I was reasonably well prepared
Yeah.
for it.
All right, so let's get into the race, like getting into the start corral, and what are the expectations of just like how, I mean, Susanna, you've been on this stage before, like racing against, some of the Kenyans and East Africans. It's a little different from like racing at these world majors, but what were sort of the expectations? And when you tried to draw up a race plan, how did you guys all end up in the front together, basically?
I think Chicago was a really like helpful learning experience for me last fall, because there was so much talk about this American record that was going to go down, and my coach was like, "Would you please just stick to our plan? Like, just run by effort. Like, just ignore all of that." And so I think that I got a really good experience running my own race and ignoring what everybody else was doing. And so that was sort of what we drew upon when we were thinking about what the race plan was. It wasn't super specific. There weren't going to be like, a move made at whatever mile. I wasn't planning on being like the aggressor, but I'm comfortable doing that. Like I prefer that to reacting, but I'm not always like physically up to the task of being the aggressor. So I came in, felt ready. And the deal was that, like, if somebody just went out, flying the first couple of miles and it was unsustainable, let them go. But stay in like whatever the pack of people is in the lead, stay in that. And then Jess and I just did a lot of communicating early on in the first couple of miles. Like there was a surge that I think was about 600 meters that we covered, I thought, really well. And then it immediately slowed down. It went from like low 530s to like, I was looking at my watch, who knows how reliable it was with the tall buildings, but it was like 5 O's.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is going to be like, this is spicy,
Yeah,
but like,
it
it's
was
not
a
going to last
spicy
that long. And it lasted a lot shorter than I expected. I like kind of like mentally buckled up for like it being like a mile or two, and it was short. And then when they slowed down, Jess was like, we need to do something. And so it was just like a real comfort to like feel like we were very much in it together. And like I said, like a team within a team. I think we both knew, I mean, all of us, Erica included, had like data points indicating over the summer that we were ready to roll. And I was trying to help my husband, who's not really a runner. I mean, he's a running fan. But like he doesn't always get it. Like, it's a big deal to have 3 people commit to running a marathon on this stage months ago and all show up healthy. But like Erica crushed a 5-miler a couple weeks before. I mean, Jess crushed at USA's. Mine was probably a little more modest, but I ran like a 2-second 10K road PB at Beach to Beacon. So I knew that like all of us were really ready to roll. And going in with PRs that were within a minute of each other, I think like mine's 21:56 and Erica's is 22:56. So we're literally all within a minute. Like if we were all in the best shape of our lives, like we were going to be together. And so it was just nice to like line up and look to your left and look to your right and be like, if we're all having a good day, we're all going to be in the same neighborhood.
Was that cool then? I guess like what you talked about, like the Brooks support along, the course, but even just like the crowd seeing three members of the same country up there. I mean, Japan too, I think was
Yeah,
up there, and then that makes things
super
extra
cool.
loud. So, what was sort of like that atmosphere like, and when it's just when there was a little bit of space, like how do you feed off of that?
Yeah, I think the warm up situation and all that was really interesting.
Wait, what happened?
Well, we were told that we would be dropped right at the stadium, which ideal, great. That's home base and great. But we actually ended up having to go to Yoyogi Park first, like the sprinters and everybody else. Hang there, do some sort of warm up, and then get back on a bus for 20 minutes. Get to the call room, take our ice vests off like 15 to 20 minutes before the start. Yeah, so like it was just it was very good to have what feels like true teammates there, because I was just like, what the frick is happening? I'm like, this is just everything we thought was going to happen. It's the opposite, but we were all pretty chill, calm, collected. The start was wild, like starting in a stadium.
Someone fell, right?
Yeah, I didn't
There's a
know that
pile up.
At the time, yeah.
until Connor, my family told me that. But I looked to Erica and Susanna, mostly Susanna. I was like, what's your strategy? I just meant for like the track. And I think that's kind of what you picked up, what I was putting down. But you're like, you either go out first or you go out in the back. And I was like, well, she's for sure getting out first then. So I think we found really good position on the track. I soaked that part in. I was like, this is my only chance probably to run in the stadium, you know, candidly. So that was really fun. And then, yeah, as Susanna said, like there was a lot of chatter going on. Arms were literally being put out to like slow the pace down for group of athletes. I'm like, I did not come to Tokyo to like run their race. Like I've done that in New York, been pushed around. I was a newbie. Boston, I let the big pack go, ran with Sarah and Emma, which was really, really cool. But I was like, this is like, you take risks on this stage. Like if you're gonna do it, this is when it happens. And Susanna seemed like she was feeling really good. So I just looked at her and I'm like, do you want to just keep running we didn't like speed up or inject speed into the pace. It was just like getting out, staying, staying the course, clipping off 528s, 530s. But yeah, running, I think I ended up with a Japanese athlete. So for me, I was like,
right.
it was so much louder than I thought it was going to be. It felt like a major, but it tracks. Like, I was running with one of their nation's best and it was super cool. But yeah, just like seeing Susanna too with the hairpin turns. I loved the hairpin turns mostly for like knowing where you were at strategy wise. Obviously on the body, they were annoying towards the end of the race, but I loved getting to see her shoot her like thumbs up. And
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
it was
catch each
cool.
other, yeah.
Cool to have each other.
Did you kind of use that also kind of as a little bit of a gauge of just knowing like, oh, okay, the pack is a little bit closer, a little bit further? Like, was that also helpful for you?
Yeah, I mean, like Jess said, like it was awesome to be. I feel like I've seen a lot of pictures pop up where I'm like, I think I was trying to do a thumbs up, but a lot of times I was like pointing at her.
I was like, pointing's not nice in Japan, Susanna.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, you're not allowed to
Don't point
here.
at me. What does it mean?
Yeah, no, so that was good. I feel like more than ever, like I just really felt like I was running my own race and like I was very much running an effort that I felt like was sustainable. I think I had worried so much in the days leading up, like I said, getting off the plane here. I don't think I felt good running until like 1,200 meters into that marathon, like from the time I arrived here. So, I had just kind of like emotionally prepared for it to be just like such a terrible day. And, but like being absolutely determined to get to the finish because I knew that I was fit. And, like when the conditions are like that, you don't know what's going to happen in the last 10K. So I think I had a lot of solo time to like just emotionally prepare. Like they're gonna come back. There's no way they're not gonna come back. Like they're not gonna let you run away with this. But that's fine. Like just be ready and run your own race and maybe don't be reactive. And now I mean we are talking about it this morning. That's a moment that might haunt me for a while because I was one spot away from a medal, but I kind of had committed to like, no, that you can continue to run this pace all the way to the stadium. So like, that's what we're doing. And that if you react, like there could be a cramp that like completely derails this. And because I was starting to kind of feel a little crampy.
Yeah. When did it start to feel hard?
I can only think in Ks, which is like crazy. Like,
yeah.
Some miles. say like 35K was definitely
Yeah.
rough. That's when it started to get hard for me,
Yeah.
like really hard.
Yeah. I think that's around when Julia passed me, and I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah. And then Julia was just like on a different speed, I think, at that point than everyone else. You had the chance, I guess, like to get to know her a little bit in flag.
Yeah, oh my gosh, so great. But I saw her, like maybe it was the second or third hairpin turn, and I saw her with, the large group, and I'm like, she looks so good. So she's somebody that I had on my radar early on in the race where I'm like, she'll likely like come back to me. And when she does, like, you run with her in flag, like try and go with her. But she blew by me so fast. It was like, come on, Jess, like so cool for like, a rookie,
Yeah.
a 25-year-old athlete, first world team, first team. And it's cool because I had a moment like that with Des in Orlando where she shot words my way, and I was feeling really good. But in a moment where I kind of like needed that, it didn't like make me feel discouraged or anything. I was like, wow, that's really cool of her, to take a beat from her day. But she looked awesome. She's really cool human. I think like any of us, she went through a lot of adversity to get to the point where she is now. So it's like, wow, this is only the beginning. But yeah, just really cool storylines to come out of. I mean, this entire past 3 days has been insane. So
Yeah. So Jess, I guess I'm curious where, when Susanna goes, and this kind of brings me back to just like hearing how Connor and Clayton played the closing stages of their marathons in Paris, where it's sort of like it you can sometimes already see that it's like, all right, like this is pretty strung out. I'm not going to be able to catch people because we, I guess, don't see it on TV. But what were those closing stages like for you? And like, how did you mentally stay engaged and, race, I guess, the last couple of miles?
I went to the Hyperion house a few days before my race. Actually, it may have been the day before, actually. And Des and Kara were there. They just wrapped with a pod episode, and I was chatting with Kara, and she just had really good advice. She's like, unless you're in it or you're an aggressor or like leader in the race, like you don't really know what's happening up ahead of you. And that was a true testament to Orlando. Like I had no idea what was happening ahead of me. And her advice was just like, just keep like every second matters, every place matters. So literally when I felt like I was dying at 35K, I'm like, literally think of what Kara said. Like you just don't know what's going to happen. And I was having a tough, like I knew it wasn't going to be like my big day. Like, I've spent 3-4 months visualizing like what could have been. I really wanted top 5. I thought I had a chance to medal just because I'm pretty comfortable running in the heat. But when I knew it wasn't that day for me, I was like, top 10s are B goal. I think I'm right around there. I think I've fluctuated from 11th to 9th. I don't know, but I just really duked it out. I used the crowd. Mostly thought of Susanna, and I was like, what is happening up there? Like, I gotta know, like, just get to that stadium so you can watch whatever's happening happen. But yeah, my race plan was interesting. I didn't really have like a specific race plan, which is why I love working with David. I think he's like, trust your gut. I think, for him, he was like, I think we are super conservative in the first half. Like we just hang in the pack. Like, but in the moment where we were kind of chatting, I was like, it does not feel right to stay in this pack and just keep oscillating and like have crazy bottle stations. Cause elbows were being thrown and I'm like game for that now. I'm like, I don't care. I'll be physical. But like, I was like, it's so nice to have space, be able to communicate with like our USATF folks at our station. Like I could literally communicate with them, tell them what I needed heading in, have space to grab water and the sponges at the next station. So that alleviated a lot of extra work. Cause I don't know if you saw the photos, like my friend Tate from college was like, she gave us 3 different looks during that race because there were just so many different, I was taking hats off and but we were working the whole time, like trying to stay cool. So that was a big, I think, learning curve for me too, was just like managing that the whole time, like literally juggling. I saw a photo of Susanna just having a bottle in her mouth, like no hands, just bottle in her teeth, like trying to get her hat on. So yeah, there were a lot of crazy things that I learned from this race. And being in Paris last year, I think it was really cool to like finally be in it and be somebody that isn't just a chaser and here for, I'm a world team member. Like I didn't want just a world team member. I wanted to be somebody that gave it their all, took a risk. So yeah, happy with it.
Yeah. So then Susanna, when Julia, I guess, when did that pass happen? And then I guess like, how did you handle that in that moment to try and close out the race and stay in it?
Yeah, Yeah, I think it was like 7 or 8K to go.
Okay.
I don't really remember. I mean, if
Yeah.
it turns out that it was 5K, maybe. I don't know. I latched onto her for a minute because I figured like this was the first opportunity that I really had to like connect with somebody in a while, because when Asafa and
Chip,
yeah, went all along, it was like, I mean, they
Yeah.
passed me like I was standing still. So like that was not going to be any latching on there. But when Julia passed, I was like, okay, like I can do this for a bit, and I stayed behind her. But then I had that moment of like, look, like this might be a little rich, and this has gone so well, so like this far, like you need to just like run within yourself and get to the finish, and kind of be ready to respond to somebody who looks like they're hurting a little bit more, because she didn't really look like she was struggling.
Yeah.
I was like, there might be somebody who like, comes up and doesn't pass you convincingly that you can, you can fight with, but it didn't really seem like
Yeah, because then there was a gap behind you, right? So then approaching the stadium, like, did you sort of, I guess, have a realization? It's like, all right, those were the medals. Now I'm in fourth, and like, how are you feeling entering the stadium?
I was super excited about fourth. I feel like it didn't take very long after I finished for me to be like, like it was so close. But when I initially passed the line, I was just thrilled. And my coach, I think, has reminded me a couple times in the last 48 hours, like, if I'd told you coming in that you'd be fourth, you'd have been stoked. So like, just, like remember that. And so, yeah, it was really exciting, to kind of like to soak in that moment. And it's always nice to cross the line and feel like you're not completely wrecked. I feel like I gave it everything that I had, but the humidity just kind of puts a damper on things. So like, I think that might be why I'm feeling as good as I am today. 'Cause we didn't really just like, we weren't running as fast as we possibly could. I mean, we were for the conditions, but just biomechanically, like things were a little more controlled, just because of the weather. So it was nice to be able to be like pretty like conscious and aware of things at the finish line and get to celebrate a little bit with the people coming across the line.
Yeah. The embrace between the two of you. I mean, people saw all those photos. Like, we like seeing, I guess, on Instagram when how many people have reshared something, and it's like you scroll on that one, it's just like so many people resharing that to their Instagram stories. And so, I mean, people take inspiration from moments like that. But when it's just the two of you kind of hugging at that finish line, like, was there any words that are said there, or is it just sort of like you guys just survived something really, really difficult, and it's a shared experience?
I think there was a lot of just that, like a lot of relief. We did it. We made it. Jess asked me, what place were you? And I said fourth. And I know your response, I don't know if you remember this, but your response was damn. And I was like, yeah, you know it better than anybody else what it's like to be like just outside the medal. So I was like, she gets it. She like knows all the things I'm feeling right now, where that was cool, but like, oh, like it was like, yeah. Yeah, no, it was really good. And yeah, it was
Yeah, finish lines are, I was saying this earlier at the Brooks house, like one of my favorite things to celebrate more now. Like, you're not really rushed off the finish line. Like, you can kind of take a beat, and like showing up healthy to the start line is a really awesome feat in itself. But like celebrating the finish is, you got to do that. And we were talking to Erica, and she has such a good head on her shoulders after her race, because it was a tough race, and she friggin' duked it out, got the thing done. But like every finish line, you have to celebrate it, and that's going to make her tougher, make her stronger. If she can finish that race, when I'm sure the thoughts that were going through her head were not the easiest to run through, like she can do anything pretty much. And I know she'll look back and know that. But I think after we kind of celebrated had our moment, we really wanted to wait for her. So we got ushered up and down the stairs.
But those stairs are brutal that they make you guys go up
I'm
and
like,
down.
at least the
we had to,
marathon.
like, step over one of the athletes that was sitting in the middle of the stairs, and I was like
yeah. Oh yeah. They were like,
I need a moment.
I get it. Yeah, so we kind of hung out under the stands after and waited for Erica, and kind of just soaked it in together. And yeah, finish lines are special. I think it's especially in that stadium too. It's like,
yeah, should more marathons finish inside a track stadium with a 300-meter lap?
Photo finishes and marathon, like, come on,
That's insane.
it's been pretty awesome to watch. I think it's really cool. I think for the World Championships, it makes total sense. I think for the spectators, start line to be determined. I think that was kind of interesting. Hunger Games edition. But yeah, I think finish lines, it gives the spectators like a good grounding point to like bring the marathoners in. People fly from everywhere to like see their runner come through. And it felt so, not that like, I mean, the Boston finish line, one of the best moments of my running career, was so memorable, but like the grandstands are only so big.
Yeah.
And it's like to have a stadium where 55,000 people come here for track
It's true.
events and, have people sit there for a marathon finish is pretty awesome. So, I mean, I vote yes.
Yeah. All right. So final mile of BU will be contested at BU's at Boston at BU track. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you're in Tokyo. Like, what's the celebration look like from here on out?
We've had a good time with the Brooks family here the last couple of days. I am heading out in a couple hours. I have school
Parent teacher
tomorrow.
night. What is
Parent
it?
teacher what is it? Back to school night.
Wow.
Parent teacher conferences would be another level. Back to school night is Thursday night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So back at school tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. And then try to get to know these kids and, talk to their parents on Thursday night. And then Mason has a cross country meet on Friday evening. So I'm going to try to get to that as well. So yeah, nice, like hop right back into real life. So
yeah, we've gone to the track both nights. Gosh, the races have been awesome. Mondo world record, like Beamish freaking getting it to the face and then coming back for the dub last night.
Is that how you lost your voice?
I was screaming last night for sure. So yeah, just hanging with the Brooks fam at the track and at the Hyperion House has been so fun. And then we might do one last omakase or ramen tonight before we get back to work in real life tomorrow. So, but yeah, Japan's been awesome.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, you two. I mean, you, like I said, have already done so much to inspire so many people who are out there committing to their own fall marathon plans. Like if this is what, gives you a little bit extra motivation for if you've got Chicago or New York, like on the horizon, like you guys did such a great job of instilling Erica as well. So enjoy the rest of your stay in Tokyo and tremendous job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.